Coming up on City Spotlight, our attention is on Marshall with the Mayor of Marshall, Camie Sanders, and Jennifer Bishop of the Marshall Area Chamber of Commerce. We will discuss the latest economic development in Marshall, the future of the swimming pool, and we will explore the impact of historic places in Marshall. That's all next on City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com. And thank you to all of you for joining us for this latest episode of City Spotlight. Today, we turn our attention to Marshall. And joining me today is the Mayor of Marshall, Camie Sanders.
Hello.
And Jennifer Bishop from the Marshall Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome back, guys.
Thank
you for having us.
And we last chatted in the fall, I think it was mid-October, and we learned a lot about Marshall. We learned about the beautiful downtown, the many businesses, the streetscape along Route 1, and a few things we left off the table there, but we're going to definitely talk about them today. But first off, Camie, how would you summarize 2015 in Marshall? What were some good things, highlights?
We've had a real successful year. Jennifer's been good at going out there and bringing things in, and we've got a lot of things going. Our major businesses are all expanding. We gave out, I think it was 9 just business grants. We have utility grants. Help me, Jennifer. Utility grants, facade grants.
New construction
grants,
demo grants,
and we doubled all them this year. And by January, we're trying to bring money in somewhere else to put money into them because they've all been used. So it's been a lot of old houses being tore down, a lot of new construction. We just granted 2 new apartment complexes, and several of our construction people. We got several new houses being built right now. So I think Donnie has 3 in progress at this one time. Mm-hmm. So it's really moving along pretty well that way.
And I came to town to get some video for the last time you guys were on. I noticed some houses were under construction. What do you guys attribute 9 grants, different variety of those, to the new things coming to Marshall? What do you attribute that to?
I think it's just open communication. People are learning about these things and actually taking advantage of them. So I think it's just been open communication with people.
Okay. And we'll talk a little bit more in detail about the state budget and how it's impacted you guys. But how has that state budget that has not been passed as of right now, we're taping, how has it impacted economic development and in regards to maybe new businesses coming to Marshall?
As far as new businesses, it hasn't impacted me directly because it's up to the municipalities in each community to really think outside of the box of how they're going to attract them and offer incentives. So, we went to the mayor. The utility grant and the demo grant has been around for several years now, and that was great under the past administration. But with the new administration, the new construction grant, and just any little incentive, just keeping open communication with businesses about the incentives or possible grants that might be out there. So we really took it into our own hands and made it our own, thought outside the box.
You guys talked in the fall about some of your major employers and some of the things that have been going on with them, improvements and whatnot. Any other expansion or anything with any of those or any other businesses in Marshall that you may want to share with us today?
I think everyone's fairly well done expanding. I think we will have one more expansion in the spring. I'm not sure that they're ready to disclose that yet. So, and other than that, we're still moving forward and working on projects that we've been working on for, several years. Economic development takes a long time. It's a lot of behind the scene work. So it takes 18 to 24 months for a business to even break ground. So there's a lot of behind the scene work that's going on.
Okay, we'll surely follow up on that in the future. Very good. Camie, let's talk a little public works. And this show is airing here, and it's the official start of spring. And when you think start of spring, you think of things starting to get fixed. And are there any road work or public works things going on?
Yeah, the Safe Routes to School's been approved this year. So it'll be starting. We're doing a major water line upgrade. We'll be hopefully by then selling water to Casey in the next few years. They've approved it. It's got to go to my council in the next meeting to approve. And once that's done, then, but this line improvement was already there. It's a loop, so it's I think $400-some thousand. So that new improvement will be taking place. Also, we're going to start some stuff on Fifth Street, South Fifth Street, that needs to be done. Been needing done for several years, and we're finally getting around to where we got the money to start doing some work on it.
A water line, that's something. Water, everybody
Yes.
needs water, and then, so that you have a water line that you'd be helping another community out. Is that something that's long overdue?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. And another thing involving water, segue, that we brought up a little bit last time was the swimming pool.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about how important that it is to Marshall. And in January at a city council meeting, a presentation was brought about in regards to the swimming pool in Marshall. So can you tell us what happened with that, and what's going on moving forward?
Well, moving forward right now, we've started the campaign, contribution campaign, and they're getting it started up and going, and before long they'll be going around to all the major businesses, talking to businesses and those kind of things. Our goal is to get the funding to where it's really not going to cost anybody in higher taxes or higher utilities. And if we can get to that goal, I won't go into detail on that yet, but there's a set of things that need to happen for that to happen, and I'm very confident they can happen. And we're just going to move forward with it and see how much money they can collect, and then by June or so we'll decide which way we're going to go.
And every community, values a public library and a swimming pool,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe reemphasize the value of the swimming pool in Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
It just brings a different quality of life that we want to provide for our residents. And our library is celebrating its 100th year this year, so they're having a huge celebration this summer and this fall. So there's a lot of stuff to celebrate in Marshall.
Happy birthday to the library in Marshall. Very good. Any other structural improvements, building improvements? You talked about some demolitions going on. Anything going on building-wise that's going to be improved that people might notice or notice while they're in and around town in the future?
We're always doing facade grants in downtown. I don't know. I think they did 5 were done, 3 was on the table, and another one was to get approved. But like all things, we're running out of facade grant money. So if I grant any more of those, we're going to have to figure out where we're going to pull them from. And there are places that some of that stuff can be pulled from. It's just a matter of doing it the right way. So we always want to encourage the downtown businesses to improve. So we're not going to stand in their way over $1,000 facade grant. If they need it, we'll figure out a way to make it work, because we're really proud of the downtown area. We're proud of the historic facade, and we'll do what we need to do to help improve that.
Several nice, beautiful old buildings there in Marshall. All right, let's go back to some state budget things. And shortly after we taped with you in October, you guys were in the news a little bit. Camie, I want to ask you about the cutting off of utility services to 3 state facilities in and around Marshall. First question is, what were those three facilities, and why was this a necessary move?
Well, first, to clarify, I don't shut down facilities. The state shuts them down themselves.
Correct.
I just don't give them free utilities.
I wasn't implying that at all.
No. I've had that argument before. The first one was the rest area coming in on 70. Mm-hmm. That was so far behind on their utilities, on their water, and I was not comfortable with providing the state with free utilities when I have to turn around and shut off families for being 60 days behind, and here you got the state running 6 months behind, and they think that's okay. Well, it's not okay. It's not fair to the other people, the people in your city. And so we shut that one off, and because IDOT wasn't paying it. They weren't paying the garage either, where the trucks were at, snow plows, those kind of things. And after some serious soul searching, I did not shut that one off because it would have affected the people in town like the last few snows we've had. You know, the state, if they got to go to Paris or Effingham to get a truck to come back here to clean the road off, well, you're putting your local people in danger for having to drive in that kind of weather. So we decided that was not worth doing that. And the other one was the state park, and the state park, they paid theirs up, I think, in December. They're behind a little bit now, but not near as much as the others. And I did reach out to the IDOT right before Christmas and ask them if there was some kind of deal we could work out on that utilities on the water so they could get the rest area up before Christmas and all the holiday. They did not seem to want to discuss that, so it's still off.
It's been just a few short months since this transpired. Has there been a great impact? Have you seen an impact from this in and around Marshall?
No, because not a lot, because the park was ready to shut down for the winter anyway.
Okay.
So that didn't affect them too much. Hopefully they'll get some things straightened out. They got a water leak down there and they can't fix it because they don't have appropriations to fix it right now. So hopefully the state will give him the appropriations to go get it fixed before spring. And then with the rest area, it affected a few people locally, lost their jobs, and they're still without a job. But as far as traffic-wise, it probably actually put more people pulling off at Marshall. I mean, at the truck stop and stuff. Okay. So did it? Yes. And another thing a lot of people don't realize too is it could have been easily avoided, and that's the sad part.
Okay. I want to ask you, Camie, as we tape here in the middle of February, state budget still not passed, so maybe it's passed by the time this physically airs, but how challenging has it been for you guys in Marshall to plan the current fiscal year and the future fiscal year without a state budget?
Well, they made it a little easier because they caught up on our gaming and our sales tax and everything there in December, and they're not really running behind on those major things we count on. They all seem to be taken care of right now. It'll make it a little bit harder with appropriations coming up in the next few months. Each department will be meeting and discussing our appropriations, and we can work around it some, but it's time for the state to start compromising and working together and coming up with solutions. I don't know where along the way compromise has become a dirty word, but it seems to have, not only in state, but in the local and federal government, and it's very frustrating.
Appreciate your comments there. We've talked numerous times with other mayors and city leaders here, ironically since last spring, so it's been tough times for all the state of Illinois. One thing that we did not touch upon, and was disappointed that we weren't able to talk about, the rich history in Marshall. So we're going to talk about that right now here on City Spotlight. You have the National Road, Harlan Hall, Archer House, just to name a few. A couple of questions, if we could talk about each one of those three. What are they and what do they mean to Marshall? So let's start first with the National Road.
Do you want to? The National Road, of course, started, it's a national road across Illinois. We are the easternmost, I don't know my left from right, so. Easternmost point in Illinois. So we have a visitor center and information tourist center at Harlan Hall. So if you go up onto the third floor, you will see mannequins and displays and old artifacts of the National Road. So it's really cool. They tour the kids through every year, and kids get to learn about the history of building the National Road through Marshall.
And you have signs, obviously, wherever you go that the National Road was, and to a lot of people still is.
Yeah.
You see a lot of the historic signs, which is really neat to show just exactly where it's gone through there.
They're still a very active organization with the National Road, so they're very active in promoting the National Road.
Okay, so the National Road and Harlan Hall kind of tied together. Yeah. Those two places, what do they mean to Marshall now?
So Harlan Hall now is our community center. We like to host community events there. They just brought back bingo for the community. The chamber likes to host a lot of events there. We've hosted the governor there. So we like to call that our community center. They also host senior diners. Marshall Main Street has their office out of there. So we like for that to really be the hub of Marshall and to get information out about Marshall.
Okay, and the third place that I mentioned was the Archer House. What is the Archer House?
Oh, the Archer House is the oldest historic hotel in Illinois, built in 1841. Wow. And we've had several presidents, past presidents, actually stay the night there. And now it is being turned into by a private investor, hopefully sometime a facility that she can rent out for small parties and events and things like that. So at some point, she'll get going up on it again, but we'd love for that to be open at some point. We have a lot of people come in and ask us, I really want to see the Archer House, because it was placed on the National Register. So that is, a very historic spot for many historians.
Not to test my math skills, you said 1841, and my brain was turning, that'd be 175 years, correct? So that's I don't know what centennial, the number, how you say that, but that's a signature thing there. So what does the Archer House mean to Marshall today?
So, until it gets open, we really want people to go in and see it. But, it was built 5 years after Marshall was established. So,
yeah, until the reconstruction part gets done, it's really outside of viewing it from the outside, you really can't get in it. I mean, some days she'll be there, and I imagine by appointment she probably would take a real historic buff inside. But right now, she's working on redevelopment and figuring out how she's going to get it redeveloped. So.
All right, and those are just 3 historic things, and there's many more. Are there any others that you'd like to highlight at this time?
Well, me not being from Marshall, I really enjoy the bandstand. It was built, oh gosh, you're really testing my math there. I don't want to give out the wrong number. But it hosted the Chamber of Commerce band. It now hosts the city band every Friday night for summer band concerts, where hundreds of people listen to the city band for an hour every Friday night in the summer. So, and the ice cream social associated with it every summer. So, I don't know, I really like that one.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of historical houses in town. There's an historical walk that they have where you can go get the paper and follow through where all those are at.
And pick it up at Harlan Hall. It's a whole book that you can follow.
Wow, sounds like a great.
They've talked about upgrading it. I don't know when and how, but they'd like to get it upgraded on apps. An app on your computer where you just and it'll take you right to it. But we ain't got there yet. So, but that's one of the things the Historic Society has been talking about doing.
Mm-hmm. All right, very good. And Camie, I want to ask you, with all these rich historical places that we've talked about, it's obviously a strength for Marshall, and that draws people to town. If you can maybe put that in some context of the importance of all these historical places in Marshall.
Well, I think that if you were born and raised around here and especially around Marshall, you always want to come back. You always want to go to the places that mean so much. And a lot of people out there, they've moved on. They live in bigger cities and stuff, but they spread that to the people they meet. We've had people come back from Chicago, Texas, California. They'll come back and they'll bring friends with them, and it just helps people learn about Marshall, and it brings a lot of people. They may go out and make their fortune, but they kind of want to come back to Marshall to retire. And it's a nice community. It's a nice, clean community, and we pride ourselves in just simple things like we furnish the bags for leaf pickup, and we have our city employees go around and pick up all the branches after a storm, or if you're trimming, you put them out the curb, and our people will come along and pick them up sooner or later. It's just a lot of cities don't do that, but because we own our own utilities, we can provide those services. And we, like when we go pick up all these brush and stuff, once a year we'll mulch it. We'll have a company come in that mulches it, and then the city, people who live in the city, they can go get free mulch. And if they catch them at the right time, we'll load it for them. Mm-hmm. So there's just a lot of services provided in that small town atmosphere, and just the pride of how the people feel, that I don't think a lot of communities are able to do that. So because they don't have their own utilities, and owning your own utilities is a big plus. It really helps you provide those services.
Another strength of Marshall is the utilities. Mm-hmm. All right, Jennifer, beautiful time of year with spring being here, and time for people to get out. So what kind of events are going on in Marshall in the spring?
We have a lot, of course. We're trying to do one type of community event every month. I know March we have several Easter type of events going on. You'll have to check out the website to keep up on those. I know in April the Chamber is hosting a career fair. May we start our community-wide yard sale every month, second Saturday of every month. Usually the first one in May is extremely huge and takes me 20 minutes to get to my office, which normally takes me 2, which is great. I'm not complaining. In June, we kick off the Wall Dogs. So this will be a very big summer for Marshall, big turning point for us. So.
And before we talk about the Wall Dogs, and we're definitely going to talk about that, Camie, you talked about trying to have the emphasis of an event every month. How did that go? Getting that going and moving forward, you look forward to many more monthly events. Really brings the community out. Yeah,
I think it's been a huge success, and I think Jennifer and Tim and I would love to get more young people, and that makes me look bad, but I'd like to get more young people involved because they have the kids, they know what interests the kids, and I think they're having I know they're having a Valentine's, well, it's not Valentine's now, but they're having a sweetheart dance or whatever in February, and they was actually just talking about having 2. They're having one for the high school, and I think they're going to try to have one for 5th, 6th, 7th, because those 6th graders are going to be going into junior high next year, and they're wanting them to meet some of the 7th and 8th graders, so they'll be more comfortable with that transition. And those are the kind of things that they're kind of working on a little bit, just fun things for kids. And like Jennifer said, that pool is a big thing. I mean, it's a big draw, and we intend to continue that one way or the other. Right. And I think, if I don't mention the prison break, my son's a police officer, and he's one that helped.
It's got a very unique title.
Yeah, it's
it'll be out Valley Prison Break that they're having at Lincoln Trail State Park. Is that it? That's in April, right?
It's in April.
What is that?
April. It's a 5K run, obstacle course, just anything that kind of relates to, I think, a prison or breaking out. Just making it fun, just an obstacle course type thing.
That is a very fun.
They had a wall built in my backyard where they were practicing on, and they moved it out to Tim's property now, and they've got ropes up in trees that they're practicing, and they're taking it pretty serious. The actual local law enforcement is actually the ones that got really behind it, and all the proceeds will go to the Shop with a Cop program. So they really got into it, and it's I don't know, I might overstep, but I think it's a sanctioned, what do they call it?
Run?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm losing it, what they call those, but.
Well, let's quickly segue. We've got a couple minutes left. We got to talk about the Wall Dogs.
Yeah.
June 22nd through 26th, that's a 5-day thing that'll be coming to Marshall. People know about what the Wall Dogs is, and what will Marshall look like when the Wall Dogs is here?
So I really look at the Wall Dogs as an event that's really bridging the gap between our youth and our seniors. Our youth gets to learn about the history from our seniors, and it's just bringing out our rich history and being able to paint them. Art tourism is a huge industry right now. So I really look at it as a way to draw people off the interstate and come and look at these beautiful murals that are being painted from not only the locals and my children, but also from artists that are international. I just had a lady this morning sign up from Amsterdam. So people from all over the world are coming over to paint our rich history. And we have a lot of different community organizations that are coming together for this. The Gaslight Art Colony is looking at hosting Market Fair on the Square, which is an antique, vintage, artisan shopping experience that's never been seen in or around Marshall. The Marshall Area Youth Network is looking at putting on some kids activities so that while mom shops, kids can play, or while they're looking at the murals, they can play. I have the industrial art students making benches for each of the murals so that people can come and enjoy and relax and sit. When I went to Shipshewana 2 years ago, I could have sat for I almost did for 4 days, just watching them and these murals coming to life, and these people painting their grandparents' history. I had a lady come up to me and she said, I cannot draw a stick figure to save my life. She said, but they invited me to draw my grandpa that's on that mural right there.
Wow.
So I'm just really excited to see the public and the locals interested in our history and learning the history, and interacting with these people, and just we're livening up Marshall. So I'm really excited about it. It's becoming bigger and bigger every day I turn around, which is what we want, and it's fantastic. So I'm really excited to make it bigger and better.
We've heard of a few other Central Illinois communities that have been fortunate to have the wall dogs, and looking at that date, it'll be a nice kickoff to summer for you guys.
Yes, it will.
Wall dogs.
Yeah.
And one other thing, maybe right before we finish up here, is another thing's happening for Marshall. Jennifer, we talked about this briefly before the show started. What else is going on for Marshall? A local show they might be on?
So we just got selected on WEIU's This Is Our Story Marshall. So we're really excited to show the world the story, and it all kicks off right before Wall Dogs. So I'm excited to see the two come together so that people all over the world can see our history, and people that are local can see our history, and that we have these people that are so passionate about our history, and they get to tell their story of their family and their experiences. So I'm interested to see the mix. So we're really excited that Marshall was chosen for this project.
Maybe a few things that we talked about here today. Some of the historical things will be on there.
Yeah,
Truck down
absolutely.
from Paris down to Marshall for our stories. So it'll be a lot of fun. Look forward to seeing what it turns out to be.
Yeah.
And I think we got everything covered this time. We didn't miss out.
Wow.
We got the history in there. We talked about the swimming pool. So Camie Sanders, Mayor of Marshall, Jennifer Bishop from the Marshall Area Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure again being on City Spotlight.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
We appreciate
thank you.
it.
Excellent. And as we wrap up here on this episode of City Spotlight, let's take a look at some of the upcoming activities going on in Marshall. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com.